Hello everyone, my name is Aram Zucker-Scharff. I'm New York based. I'm here to talk with you about a WordPress plugin called PressForward. It's on the plugin repository. You can get it just by the standard way, one-click install of every WordPress plugin. It's produced by the Center for History and New Media at George Mason University on a Sloan Foundation grant. I'm the lead developer on it. I'm going to tell you what it's about, how to use it, and if you're a developer, how you could possibly get involved in the project. So the PressForward plugin is an adaptation of an activity that folks did with Google Reader back when that was around. So the PressForward plugin allows you to subscribe to RSS feeds by putting individual sites in there. And I'm going to show you what the screen looks like. By putting individual sites or subscribing to OPML files, you can upload the OPML files, you can drop the link in if you have them hosted somewhere else like Fargo, and from there you can have your site subscribe to those other sites and pull that content into your own site. The goal of all this is to turn aggregation into an editorial process. The idea is it may just be you may have a bunch of people, and you can review all of the sites that cover what topics you're blogging about. Look for people who are talking about things that are interested for you, and link out to them by creating aggregated posts, either by taking a piece of content from somewhere else and writing it up, or by posting it directly to your site and having it forwarded to the original. Let me show you what this screen looks like. Here is the PressForward's main screen. I'm trying to resize it. There we go. And you can see this is a responsive setup, so you can use it on your phone, you can use it on your tablet, or you can use it on your computer. And it pulls in content from a whole bunch of different RSS feeds. That's what it's doing right now, and presents it to you to review. You have all of your standard RSS features here. You can delete things, hide them, or mark them as read. And there's a whole bunch of features that allow you to handle these feeds and the various feed items so that you can tell what's going on and the specifics of every item. So for example, you can see all of the metadata. This is a little bit small, but the idea is you can see the origin feed for any item, when it was originally posted on the original site, when it was received by your site, any authors, if the RSS feed provides that information, the origin URL, the original link to the story, as well as any tags that are supplied by the originating site. Now, of course, RSS feeds being what they are, some of them will have that information, some of them won't, but it'll try and get all of the information that it can. Now, in the process of reviewing all of this, you'll find that you as an individual, or perhaps a team of folks, will see items that you want to put on your site or talk about on your site. Or maybe you do, maybe you don't. You want to review it first. You can click into any article, and the site will use the Readability Library. This is rendering oddly, but this is the perils of a live demo. We'll pull the content from the original article into your site. Yeah, rendering very oddly. Let's try a different one. There we go. Okay, so the Readability Library, same thing that you use in Instapaper or Pocket, but it's adapted off of an open source version. So it'll attempt to pull the full content of that site and display it in an easy-to-read format so that you can review and decide whether you want to publish a post about whatever this other site was writing about. You can navigate on this screen to previous posts and to the next post. That's what these links are here. And your group, or just you individually, can take notes or comment to each other in a real-time commenting system right there from the inside of your site. Any individual item, once you've selected it, let's say this is something that I really want to talk about, BHP's massive restructuring. I guess I'm a finance website today. You can then nominate that item and review it along with any other items that have been nominated in a separate screen called Under Review. Now, The way this process works with some of the sites that PressForward is currently on is there's usually a large group of reporters or sort of sub-editors that go through hundreds of items that come in through the PressForward feed. I have a bunch of them here. You can see this is American History Now. What it does is it subscribes to a whole bunch of blogs written by professors about American history. Their team of editors goes through all of those items, picks out the best ones, nominates them for review by the top-level editors, and then those top-level editors decide which ones they want, assign them to become a draft, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, and then take that draft and publish it on their site. PressForward gives you two options when you publish those drafts. The first is it lets you publish the entire content of the article that you have in your system as it is pulled in through readability. Now, of course, we don't want to deal with anyone sort of scraping content. So the way it's set up is that it goes and forwards the post to the original poster. There'll be some sort of message depending on your configuration. You can set it up to pause or you can set it up to forward right away. And on top of that, in order to ensure that we give all of the wonderful search engine optimization credit to the original author, we use the proper syndication tags as specified by Google. So it lets you pull together a list of posts by other folks. And in some cases, you can get permission from the original author and have the full content right there, along with any HTML that was back on the original article. In other cases, you type up a summary of the original post, and you link back to the original. You can see there's a link here that allows you to read the full post. And there's a whole bunch of other things you can do depending on your own creativity. Now, all of the information is retained, all of that metadata, the original post, the original author, all of that. So, it hooks into the author filters and allows WordPress to present the original author of the piece as the author on your site. And additionally, it allows you to present those things in your own RSS feed. So you can be aggregating content, feeding that content out through RSS to other folks, and when they click on those items in their RSS feed, they're forwarded back to the original. Another example of use is I work with a journalistic organization, CFO.com. And the way that they do it is they have integrated it into their editorial workflow using the Edit Flow plugin. So journalists take a look at that all content page here, nominate items. Editors look at the under review page, select which ones are worthy of becoming articles, and then when they switch it to draft, which is done like this, just one easy click, and should be in there. I think it is. Yep. Once that's sent over, they assign it back using Edit Flow to the original journalist who nominated it. In addition, the plugin supplies a whole host of template tags. So if you decide to make this part of your regular publication, you can take those template tags, put them into your theme, and show all sorts of great metadata about the original post. In addition, we supply a really great tool called Nominate This. It's based on the Press This bookmarklet. You drag it up to your bookmark bar just like you do with Press This. And I have an article here that I can nominate. Yes. Here we go. A nice Washington Post article about anonymous commenters, something I'm sure is near and dear to all of our hearts. And you just click the bookmarklet button, and it'll parse that page through the Readability Library and through all of the tags that are available with WordPress. And did I get the right thing here? And it'll pull in the HTML, it'll pull in all of the formatting, all of that stuff. It'll even attempt to look for an open graph tag for a featured image, pull that into your site, and turn that into the featured image automatically for your own site if that's part of your theme. So you can see in here HTML and all the full content of the article that we just pulled in, complete with any links or formatting or any of the other stuff that's involved. Now, all of the feeds are managed from within WordPress. Each feed is handled as if it's its own post. You can edit them, remove them, add new ones. And the system also monitors the feed retrieval process and looks for errors. So if there's a problem with one of your feeds, it'll present it within your add feeds part of the dashboard. You can see, I'm sure, I just dropped an OPML file in there about 30 minutes ago, so I'm sure some of those feeds are broken, as RSS feeds often are. Either the sites are dead or somebody's put some terrible XML into there. Oop, did I lose internet here? No, I'm still there. Oh, we'll give it a sec. Yep, there we go. It gives you a set of alerts all over there, showing you which RSS feeds are broken, allowing you to edit those RSS feeds to fix them or delete the RSS feeds right from here. As a fun sort of bonus for any developers in the room, this sort of system of creating persistent alerts and displaying them in various places of the dashboard is something that we've actually open sourced and made an abstract sort of class so that other people can use it in their plugins if you're interested. In addition, the PressForward plugin itself, all open source, all available on GitHub and under constant development. We're about to enter another major release cycle, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Lots of great improvements planned. Anyone who's interested in developing on the project can come and join us. I'd also like to talk about, I'm sure some of you are involved with other programs that are supplying some sort of other feed. RSS tends to be sort of being replaced by JSON and various APIs. We've built the PressForward plugin in a modular manner. You can see the default modules that are built in here, including a lovely demo module called foo that allows you to see the structure of what a PressForward module looks like. Now, anyone can build a PressForward plugin, and all that is it's a standard WordPress plugin, one that you could conceivably do a bunch of other things with, add to the plugin database on WordPress.org, and just call some of the hooks that are involved in the PressForward, the original PressForward plugin. We actually have one working plugin already set up for people to check out. It's called the AB Subscriber, which stands for Academic Blogs. And what it does is it parses a list of academic blogs on a wiki that's maintained by another arm of the PressForward project and turns it into a set of things you can subscribe to. In addition, people can set up APIs. We're working on a plugin that'll parse the upcoming WordPress API so that there's an alternative to an RSS feed that might be a little faster to handle. And there's all sorts of other opportunities if you're interested in building a plugin. If you have any questions, you can come up and talk to me or comment on the project. Now, for a lot of this stuff, let's see, I think I'm closing in on the end of this. So for a lot of this stuff, it's very easy to add feeds. It's very easy to work through this. It's all infinite scroll, so you can sort of scroll in through all these things and keep going. Though I don't know if I've loaded everything on here. Yep, this is using an older version of it. In addition, there's all sorts of preferences. So if you're using this on a large organizational site, perhaps our default user configurations aren't the ones you want. You can change those configurations in here under the Preferences area. And you can also enable and disable various modules right from this screen. We even have the ability to deal with, if you have a bunch of plugins that are changing user roles, we have an option that allows that sort of changed user roles to be recognized. For those people who want to play with it on a development site, there's a debug module. That debug module allows you to see a log of anything that's going wrong. It's not enabled on this server. And also allows you to pull all sorts of statistics about how many feeds you're pulling down, what's going on in your site, all sorts of great things for people who are maintaining WordPress sites. Now, this particular version of the plugin is running on my, frankly, terrible Bluehost hosting setup. And if it can run on that, it can run on pretty much anything. We've had it in a whole bunch of different instances, everything from AWS to WordPress multi-site. So it works on all sorts of variations of WordPress. And we've got it backwards compatible all the way to, I think, 3.1 in testing. I don't think we've tested it any earlier than that. But if you're running an older version of a site, it should work just fine. Of course, once you've nominated an item and set it to be a post, you can see in there as well all of the various meta information that's been passed through. It's pretty much how the plugin works and all of the opportunities to do development. We're very excited to sort of have more people use it, tell us how it's working. All of the information on getting involved with the PressForward plugin and the PressForward project are listed on the plugins entry in the WordPress.org, as well as on the GitHub. We maintain PressForward.org, which talks about the plugin itself, the overall PressForward project, and how it interacts with other pieces of what the Center for History and New Media at George Mason University is doing, as well as any news, of course, that's going on with the plugin. For the last thing, if you're interested, let's see, you can always follow me on Twitter and ask me tons of questions about what's going on in PressForward, opportunities to contribute, all sorts of stuff that's going on. It's twitter.com/chronotope, which is on the side. I'll have business cards if anyone wants them after this. We have a whole bunch of academic journals, obviously, that are using that. We have a couple of journalism folks and institutions, and we're looking to expand that. I'm pretty happy if anyone is interested in getting it up and running at their organization to come in, give a little talk. I'm New York based, can walk anyone through it. We got a bunch of journalists working on it, so folks who have been doing journalism for 30 years can figure out how to use this plugin. I bet I can explain it to pretty much anyone. With that note, I guess I'm going to move to Q&A. I'm pretty sure it's right about that time. Maybe a little early, but hopefully there's some detailed questions. Or maybe no questions. I guess we'll find out. So, any questions? Going once. Oh, there we go, in the back.
You alter user tag and say PressForward. Is that some kind of, method that lets it hold the user or alter the original article? Does that show on your theme as like the blank author?
No, so what it does, okay, so the question is how does PressForward pull down the author and display it on the front end to anyone who's viewing your site? So on the technical answer, it filters the author hook that's provided in WordPress, but to be more straightforward, essentially what happens is PressForward attempts to pull author information out of the RSS feed. Occasionally that's supplied inline in the RSS feed for those sites as its own author tag. Occasionally it isn't. RSS is infamously implemented in a whole variety of different ways. So if the author tag is supplied and we are able to pull that author information, it will take that author information, filter the author tag when it's called by your theme, and therefore any place where you've displayed the author or get the author in your WordPress theme code, it will show the author that's been pulled in from the RSS feed. Now, if there is no author supplied by the RSS feed, it defaults back to whoever the author of the post is. And of course, that's an option that could be turned on and off in the back end of PressForward as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Awesome. Any other questions about PressForward?
Would you say this is similar to iNoReader?
Which one?
iNoReader or Google Reader?
It's originally based, the concept that we came up with was originally based on Google Reader. We started working before Google Reader was turned off, and then I guess in some ways we were lucky in that Google Reader was turned off because now there's hopefully more people interested in using it. It is very similar to Google Reader. It is very similar to a lot of RSS readers, but it's very focused on providing a workflow for turning what you're reading into what you're writing. And so that is something that I think of as a major advantage. Like I said, I guess I didn't actually explain this. The original concept of PressForward was there are a lot of professors out there, and PressForward, the project and the center that's behind it, would like to see more self-publishing. But the problem, if anyone's worked in higher ed and worked with professors, is that if you're self-publishing something, it doesn't count towards tenure because only peer-reviewed stuff counts towards tenure. So part of the PressForward concept was providing a sort of peer review type of structure that could be applied to self-published works. And so that's sort of what the thinking is that's behind that, though a lot of it also comes from my experience working in journalism. The idea of being able to bring in a whole bunch of content, select items that are interesting, deal with them in an editorial level or some sort of supervisory level, and then turn them into articles. So the initial state, the all content screen that we were looking at earlier, which, did I leave it open? No, I didn't. But the all content screen which we were looking at earlier is very much like RSS readers anywhere. The real sort of PressForward juice comes from taking that area, taking what you're reading, and turning it into useful posts. When we implemented it in CFO.com, one of our things where we had authors who had to write 300 to 500 words shorter stories. They were having trouble coming up with ideas for those stories. They were having trouble completing them as quickly as they needed to. PressForward allowed them to sort of cut that time in half because it meant that instead of having to go out and go to a whole bunch of different sites and search for that stuff, they were able to find it all in one place, turn those stories into drafts, and then start writing on top of that pulled in information and really create it quickly. Does that answer your question?
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah, sure.
So the original intent for this was to help peer reviewing?
Not necessarily to help peer reviewing, but to provide a parallel process. We really like professors who self-publish on their blogs. They are experts and they're giving information out in public. But the system within universities encourages them to publish in publications that are inaccessible to the public. So this provides sort of a middle ground among other tools that it can be used for. Okay. One more question. Does anyone got it? Ah, there we go.
Are peer-reviewed publications trending to come more into the public sphere?
Are peer-reviewed publications trending to come more into the public sphere? In many ways they want to, but do not have the sufficient technology or experience to do so. That's sort of what the idea of these are. Some of the sites that I showed you earlier, Journal of Digital Humanities, the Global Perspectives on Digital History, American History Now, these are partnered with the Center for History and New Media at George Mason University as sort of templates for public peer-reviewed journals. They're all using PressForward. They're all built on top of PressForward and have made that part of their editorial process. In fact, the central part of that process for many of them. And so they're sort of trying to lead that edge to push more of these journals into the public sphere. In addition, there's a whole bunch of, probably boring to most of the people here, public policy and laws that have been being put in place to make journals that were previously only accessible to paying customers more open, if not immediately on publication soon after. And so that's pushing them into the public sphere as well, which is, I could talk to you a lot more in detail about all of that at some later point if you'd like. I think that's it for my time. It was a pleasure talking to you all. I'm Aram Zucker-Scharff. I'm here in New York. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @Chronotope. And you can find me after this event, and I'll be glad to give out business cards if anyone wants to shoot me an email or give me a phone call. I'm a friendly guy.
All right, thank you so much. Okay.